Macciu, Macciu, Macciu. I really love saying that name. We have a very special sneaker with a very special edition of that sneaker, and that is the Air Zoom Type, which looks like this. The Air Zoom Type is a sneaker that is based on the Alphafly, which has just recently had a very limited release in the United States. It actually released a couple weeks earlier, I believe, almost like a month earlier in Europe and other regions. But in the United States, that shoe is pretty limited. I really haven't seen that many reviews of it, at least not from somebody from the United States. And this is the N354 take on it, which is basically taking the Alphafly, reconstructing it to be used for lifestyle purposes. This is the Nike by You X Macciu Air Zoom Type. It's a lot to say, but basically Macciu is a graphic artist in Japan. She actually, after looking at her Instagram, did not have as many followers as I expected, and she's really known for kind of being about open with life and having positive messages about choices and possibilities and how we're all interconnected. But this is a Nike by You version, which basically means I created the shoe based on my own design. This is actually really similar to the ones that she has on in the promos. I didn't realize that until obviously after I made it, but I really like the design so far. It's actually really grown on me. When I first got it, I really wasn't sure what to feel. To me, it has very triple S vibes from Balenciaga, but it also has, I don't really know, it's very Nike-esque, but also not Nike-esque at the same time. So my inspiration for this sneaker is pretty simple. I have unfortunately been a New York Knicks fan since I was a little tyke, and that hasn't changed just because I'm loyal, but I don't enjoy being a fan anymore. But without further ado, let's start with the upper like we always do. So what's interesting about the upper is that it is predominantly basically this canvasy type material, and it basically feels like a cheap duvet cover, which is interesting because I've never felt anything like this because it is padded. The entire shoe is actually padded. And so there's actually two layers. There's an outer layer, which you can see over here, and that's aligned with a mesh on the inside. And then finally there's an inner booty, which is where your foot actually goes into, which is where the tongue is attached on the outside. So as you can see that. So these are two separate pieces. The inner booty is where your foot is sitting, and then the rest of it is really stitched on for aesthetic purposes. So what that does is that it creates a really, really kind of puffy shoe, which is kind of interesting. You have this white, which is, like I said, all the colors are done by me. They're stitching all throughout for contrast stitching. I could have done actually much more contrast stitching throughout, so all the stitching could have been a different color if I really wanted it to be. But I made it white just so that the Nike swoosh would actually stick out more, and that's done in an orange. Then you have this kind of semicircle pattern, which is over here. That's pretty much exactly like the Air Zoom Type. And finally, kind of the most drastic and apparent piece of this shoe is this stripe that goes right down the middle. It kind of reminds me of the Pegasus Turbo, the first one. From a racing stripe perspective, it kind of goes all the way up here, and it's very distinctive, and you could have actually done a different color on each side. So I decided to go with just this kind of royal blue on both pairs, but some of my original designs had one being orange, one being blue, and vice versa. You can see that there is a logo from Macciu at the very top of the tongue as well, which is over there, and I made those varying colors just to break it up a little bit, but for the most part, really, really cool. And then on the back of these, the lip is the Tree of Life. I don't remember that's exact name. And then over here is choice equals possibility. That's another one of her phrases that's on there. And then on the inside of the shoe of the insole is some type of kanji or Japanese writing. I don't know what it means. So if anyone knows Japanese and can translate, you can see a picture of that here. Hit that in the comments below. Would love to understand what it says. I probably could hit it with Google Translate, but I haven't done that yet. Now going to everything that you want to see, which is really the sole unit on this. It's a really, really cool sole unit. It's the foam itself, the midsole, is pretty squishy. It's actually more squishy than I thought it would be. I think, I'm not sure if it's dual foam or not. I actually can't tell what type of foam it is. It's not marketed as React. It also does not have, I would say, I don't know, it has a much different feeling. It's much more similar to Kushlon maybe, I'm not sure, but it's pretty soft, and it's really, really comfortable. I really like the midsole a lot. And then you do have a TPU shank that is done here that you can see in the blue, and so it runs through into the pods, It's kind of glued in over here, and it comes out on the other side, and it's got kind of a little divot on the edge of it, as you can see. The interesting part about this is that it sticks out, you know, from the shoe itself. So it's a little weird. So it makes the sole almost like a ½ inch thicker than it should be, and it gives you a really, really long and wide platform for the shoe itself. So super interesting in terms of design, but it definitely gives it the Balenciaga type vibes or the Sacai type vibes from the waffles and the blazers and everything else, where it just kind of sticks out more than it should. Then you have the zoom pods. There are 2 of them, so there's one here and one here, and you can see that there are 2 distinct pods, one on the top, one on the bottom, and that is designed exactly like the Alphafly. For the sole, I could have also changed the colors here. I decided to go with an orange just because I like the way that the orange, when it came up into the top, hit this blue, and it was a nice contrast in my opinion. On the back of the sneaker, you have this interesting pull tab, so it's basically an extension of the tongue into the back, and it's made out of the same nylon type material that goes all the way down, and it's not very effective as a pull tab because the actual shoe itself is actually really hard to get on because it's an inner liner. While it looks like a really ginormous shoe, this is actually pretty tight, and so it's really actually hard to get on. So I almost have to always use a shoehorn because there's really no rigidity in the back here. It just kind of like, you know, obviously just kind of goes in like this. It actually looks kind of cool as a sandal. New idea. Maybe I'll just cut it out and see what happens. All right, so what are my thoughts on this shoe? I really don't know. So let's start with comfort because I think it's really important. The sole unit, the midsole, the outsole, the zoom units, all that type of stuff, they actually work really, really well. It takes a little bit to kind of get used to because, you know, the sole itself is really large and it sticks out in the rear. I'd say that, like, compared to some of the other sneakers where they have really big, big badonk, it's not as bad or not as noticeable. But I would say that you have a really stable base and it's not as heavy as it seems like it would be. Despite how big the sole actually is, and that double stack sole is interesting. I like it a lot. I can't say that I can feel the TPU much. You know, that kind of steel plastic shank that's in there obviously offers stability, but I would say that, like, you know, it doesn't feel like the carbon fiber type stuff that I've seen in the past on some of the running shoes, which is totally fine. I'm not running in these in any way, shape, or form. They're actually pretty loose because there's no laces. They actually do come with laces, actually. I just don't like them, so they're right here. And you could lace these up, and there's only 4 holes for them, so there's the 2 over here and then the 2 on top. And there's like a zigzag pattern, and you tie them. I don't really like the way that looks, so I didn't do it. And I feel like these look much cleaner without the laces. But from a comfort level perspective, the bottom piece is really, really great. You know, if there are other shoes that are released utilizing this type of technology, I'm probably going to get that pair. With that said, I'm probably going to return these, not because of the midsole and the outsole, which feel phenomenal. I also can't say I feel the zoom pods that much, but I've only walked around with them. If I jump a little bit, what you can see in the on feet, you can feel them a little bit, but it's pretty muted because I believe the sole is so thick. I'm not 100% sure, but it's like a nice to have, but it's not really as responsive as I thought it would be. The reason I'm gonna have to return these is, so Nike recommended going half size up when I bought the sneaker, so I went a half size up. It is still so restrictive, and it doesn't seem that way because it looks like such a large shoe, but my toes are constantly being bunched up like right there, and that's after going half size up, and I honestly can't wear these. They were pretty painful. I only walked around for about probably 15-20 minutes or so, and I just can't get used to it. I actually wore them at home throughout the day, just hopefully like get them a little more kind of expanded, and it really didn't do that. But unfortunately, I can't wear these shoes, and I actually like them a lot just because they're my first New York Knicks shoes. From a style perspective, I totally dig these. I have no idea what I would wear them with. I obviously put on a pair of joggers for this video, and I think they look okay, and in the contrast of the white and the black look good, but you need something where this is a standout piece. You probably don't want to wear too much else, and I thought it looked okay. But I really like the style and just really the uniqueness of the material, where it basically does, like I said, looks like a duvet. So I do like the creative style. I kind of wish it were a little thinner in general, so that there was less padding. You know, potentially use the same materials but just no padding, and maybe put a heel cup somewhere. That would have been nice. And then from a sizing perspective, I almost would say that I do have a wide foot, so that might be an issue. I'd say definitely if you're gonna get a pair of these, at least go half size up. If not, go full size up. Because if I would have been able to do a full size up, I would have done that. But you can't order these anymore, and so I can't even exchange them. And that's it, guys. What do you guys think of the Air Zoom type? Did you guys actually get the Alphafly, which I am super, super bummed that I did not get a chance to actually get a pair. Let me know your thoughts on how I designed the sneaker, anything you would have changed or would have liked to do. And that's it, guys. This is the Nike by You Macciu Air Zoom type. Until next time, peace.